Welcome everyone, and this is a session for history optional, right? So, guys, if we try to decode history as an optional subject, what all we need to keep in mind? Few basic things that I would like every one of you to understand that why history optional can be a better choice for us, why it can be a better bet, right? Let me give you some idea. So, like any optional, if we know the syllabus of history optional, there are two papers, paper one and paper two, right? Both the papers are divided into two parts, A, B, and AB. On both these papers, in both these papers, we have AB and AB. So, paper one, section A is about ancient India. Paper B is about medieval India, right? Paper 2 section A is your modern India, that freedom struggle part, and paper B is your world history, right? Now this is your broad syllabus. I will be coming to it and I will be discussing it in much detail, making you comfortable with it. Now when I talk about this, right, when I talk about this, these four components, so let me ask you a very simple thing. Let's start with world history. First of all, let's start with it, right? Now what are the major components of world history? We have enlightenment, that is one topic, enlightenment, right? If you see your syllabus, it starts with enlightenment, right? Let's have a look at the syllabus first, and that will give us a better understanding into the exam, right? Let's quickly move on to paper 2 section B, right? So here we are. Now when we talk about this syllabus of world history in optional subject, so here it is, enlightenment and modern ideas. Enlightenment and modern ideas. Now major enlightenment, Kant, Rousseau, spread of enlightenment in the colonies, rise of socialist ideas up to Marx, and spread of Marxian socialism. If you have completed your GS already, tell me what is there in this syllabus that you have not covered in your GS. Anything and everything which is mentioned in this first part, it is already covered in your GS. Now what more we need to do? What more we have to do? We have to add a few things to it. Now you cannot add many facts. What all you can add? You can add little more of the analysis. One, you can add some analysis. Two, you can add the name of some historians, or you can add some schools, like this is a particular school of history through which we understand this particular event in this particular manner, right? That is it. Now you cannot change the entire concept. Now that Rousseau was saying something else in your GS, and he will be saying something else in your optional subject. Or for that case, Marx's ideas, Karl Marx ideas in GS were like, they cannot be different from what they are to be in your optional subject. So we cannot say that we have to start studying everything from scratch. We already have made a very strong foundation for the entire syllabus of history. I will show you everything. We have already made a very strong base. We have covered more than 50% of our syllabus while we were doing our GS, which is compulsory. Now for the next 50%, we have to make little more effort, little more effort. So when people tell you now that history option is very lengthy, it is very lengthy, tell them, ask them a logical question, like, it is lengthy, there is no denying the fact, but don't you think that we have to cover almost the entire syllabus of option in our GS as well? So where is the question of being lengthy? Because we have already covered the entire syllabus. We are familiar with most of the things. For example, if I talk about world history, we know that there is Italian and German unification. We know the role that Bismarck played in German unification. We know that how the foreign policy of Bismarck brought about the catastrophic changes in world that brought about World War One. So we have already covered everything. Then why are you saying that it is a lengthy subject? No, it is not, because even UPSC knows that we have read everything. And instead of saying it be a lengthy optional, what we have to understand, it is very categorically mentioned that what all we have to study. They have mentioned it. They have said that we will talk about Kant and Rousseau and Marx and ideas up to Marx of socialist thought. They haven't said that we will be talking about the ideas of liberalism or feminism. No, they haven't said, because they have specifically told us about every point that we need to study. So syllabus is well defined, well demarcated. It is not lengthy. So the first myth that history is a lengthy subject is a myth, right? It is a myth. Why it is a myth? Because we have covered everything. We know everything. Even UPSC knows that students, while doing their GS, they would have covered everything, so they are familiar with everything, so it is not lengthy. This is one. Two, history is not scoring. Look at the previous year records and the toppers. The last year only, Chandra Jyoti, she scored rank 28 with history optional, right? She was with me on YouTube. She discussed about how my notes were like, ideas were helpful. So you have to understand that people do score good marks with history if they study it with interest. So the entire idea which I was telling you yesterday, that you have to have interest in a particular subject and it can get you a very good result. If I talk about some of the previous students whom I have taught who have qualified, there are names like Harman Hans, who is an IPS officer. There are names like Gurinder Pal, who is an IPS officer. There is name of uh, this girl Sakshi Verma, who is an IPS in Himachal Pradesh. There is Dinesh Gupta, IPS. There are so many names now. How many names should I even recall at this point of time? So one, history is not lengthy. Two, it is scoring. Yes, it is scoring. When they say na, they say history has no end. What subject has an end? And why you even think like that, that history has no end? There is a syllabus of ancient India, there is a syllabus of medieval, there is a syllabus of modern, and then there is a syllabus of world history. Let's have a look at this. And for that matter, tell me any optional on in which you think that there is an end to the syllabus. There is no such subject. The only consideration has to be interest. If you have interest, you can study everything. Now I showed you something here, that what is enlightenment and modern ideas. You will have to read all this in your GS. Now if we talk about origins of modern politics, European state system, this particular thing we will not cover in our GS, for sure we will not cover. How about this American Revolution and Constitution? You have to do it in your GS. There are questions on American Revolution. Then French Revolution and aftermath, you have to do it. 1789 to 1815, that entire wars of Napoleon, that continental system of Napoleon, that Spanish ulcer of Napoleon, the political, social, economic, judicial reforms of Napoleon. We have to cover it in our GS. So what new can be here? Then American Civil War with reference to Abraham Lincoln and the slavery that was abolished. We do cover it in our GS. There are questions. Then British democratic politics. This is another topic which we do not cover in a very great detail in our GS. But yes, we touch the topic. Then 1815 to 1850, parliamentary reformers and free traders and Chartist movement. This is the continuation of that British politics. So in topic 1 of world history, if I look at all syllabus covered, in part 2 of world history, 2 topics are not covered in GS, rest of all are covered in your GS. Now let's move on. Industrialization or industrial revolution. Now look at this. English industrial revolution. Obviously you have to do it. There is no escape now, yet you escape it in your GS even. Then causes and impact on society. You have to do it. Industrialization in other countries, USA, Germany, Russia, Japan, and industrialization and globalization. This last topic is only for your optional. Rest all are covered in your GS, and you have to be true to yourself that yes, you have already covered all this in your GS. Then nation state system, rise of nationalism in 19th century. We have to make a base for this historically through historiography in our optional. But then once this is done, Germany and Italy, the unification of German and Italian unification, the topics that we do, we have already covered them in our GS. Disintegration of empires in the face of emergence of nationalities across the world. Now, this is a new topic which we have not done very strongly in our GS. So we have to add few facts to it. Then we have imperialism and colonialism, South and Southeast Asia, you have to do it. Latin America, South Africa, Australia, imperialism and free trade, rise of neo-imperialism. So you keep looking at the syllabus and try ask yourself that what is there that I have not covered in my GS. So as I said, when we take history as an optional subject, if I talk about world history, 50% plus syllabus I have already covered. Almost 60% I have already covered in my GS. Now another 50-40% that I have to add. It is like 25% are new facts, and 25% is more of historiography. It's not about the new facts, it's about the writers, their names, their schools, their interpretations, right? So this is how you have to understand. Now if I show you something from modern India, paper 2 section B, right? Section A. Now look at this. British expansion in India. Haven't you read about Bengal, Mir Jafar, Mir Qasim, Battle of Plassey, then Battle of Buxar? Then haven't you read about the four Mysore wars, the Maratha wars, three Anglo-Maratha war, and the Punjab wars? You have already covered it in your GS. So how can you now change the things here that Plassey did not happen in 1757 and Buxar did not happen in 1764? How can you do this? So you have already covered. When it comes to modern India, again, you have already covered almost 60% of the syllabus, only 20% new facts and 20% of historiography that you have not done. So this is how we have to understand this syllabus. Look at this now. Uh, if I talk about this early structure of British Raj, early administrative structure from diarchy to direct control, that diarchy to direct control, that dual government of Bengal introduced by Clive after Battle of Buxar 1765 to direct control. You have already read about Regulating Act of 1773, Pitt's India Act, Charter Act of 1833, the voice of free trade and changing character of British colonial rule. You have read it indirectly, but here you will have to read little more directly. The English utilitarian and India. You have read about English utilitarians and India, the ideas of Bentham, how they were influencing Indian changes in Indian society, the entire social reform during the time of Lord William Bentinck, the coming of Lord Macaulay, introduction of new education, the new land reforms. It is all utilitarian ideas. So you are already familiar with the syllabus, my dear friends. It is nothing new, it is nothing more. Now look at this. Economic impact of the British colonial rule. Land revenue settlements in British India, permanent settlement, Roithwadi, Mahalwadi, economic impact of revenue arrangements, commercialization of agriculture, rise of landless agrarian laborers, impoverishment of rural society, dislocation of traditional trade and commerce, deindustrialization, decline of traditional crafts, and then drain of wealth, economic transformation of India, railroad and communication network, including telegraph and postal services, famine and poverty in rural interiors, and European business enterprise and its limitations. Now tell me, what all of this you have not read or covered in your GS? So where that idea originates from, that history is difficult, history as an option is tough, it is lengthy, it is not scoring, from where the idea comes? It is all a myth, it is all a bluff. People have fed you with wrong ideas. If you get someone who can teach you properly history, you will obviously score very good in history, and people have been scoring and they will keep on scoring good marks in history as an optional subject. So there is no denying the fact that history is a very good subject. All right. Now, having said all this, I have shown you the syllabus from world history and modern India. Now, look at this. If I talk about medieval India, Mughal Empire in the 17th century, look at this. Major administrative policies of Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and Aurangzeb. Don't you think you have to do this for your GS as well when they ask you questions about Mansabdari, Jagirdari crisis? They do ask you questions in GS now, in pre as well as in mains. Then the empire and the zamindars. How did the landed aristocracy responded to the Mughal decline? Religious policies of Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and Aurangzeb. And a specific question can come in your GS as well. Then nature of Mughal state, late 17th century crises and revolts after Aurangzeb's death, a home kingdom, Shivaji, and early Maratha kingdom. So this is how you have to understand that you have almost covered everything. Now coming to the next point, what is going to be my modus operandi to teach history option, how I am going to cover the entire syllabus. So guys, the plan is 35 lectures for ancient India, 35 lectures, right? 35 lectures for medieval India. 70 days gone for paper 1, then 35 lectures for modern India and 30 lectures for your world history, right? 30, 35, 35, 35. That comes to 135 lectures. Now, this is as good as 5 months. And I am talking about lectures which are 6 days a week. 6 days a week. One day you will have every Sunday. You will be free to revise your things. Monday to Friday, I will teach you live, which you can also watch recorded later on. I will teach you live, and otherwise, you can watch the lectures recorded. And every Saturday, we will have one test. Every Saturday, one test. Then Sunday is free. It will give me time to evaluate your test, because I will evaluate your test personally. I'm not going to hire people to evaluate your test. I want to see everyone test myself. I want to evaluate everyone's test myself. I want to add to your knowledge, so that you must perform very well. Now there is a limitation to it, a natural obvious limitation, that a single teacher cannot check thousands of tests. So I have decided, I already have 30 students in my batch already who have enrolled in the past few days. They have already enrolled. I do not want to increase it to beyond 120, because then obviously everyone is not writing answers on the same day, but I cannot check more than 120 copies in a week. So that will be impossible for me, that I can check more than 120 copies. So this is the optimum number that I have fixed. I will not enroll more than 120 students in my batch. Last time I had more students, it was very difficult for me to evaluate everybody's copy. So that is why this time I have decided I will keep it only 120 students. Right? Now, another important thing, another very important thing, I will send you 4 books, 4 printed books. I will get them delivered at your doorstep. One for ancient, one for medieval, one for modern, and world for world history. Now, these books have been prepared after much hard work, but alone these books will not serve the purpose. I have prepared the books in one such way that they are in sync with my lectures. So please don't ask me, sir, can we have only these books? Had these books been sufficient enough, I would have given them. I could have earned a lot of money from them. But I know that, because while making my books, I was keeping in mind that yes, I will be explaining this thing in the lecture, students will club them. So this is something that I have 4 books. These 4 books are having 5 books in one. Now when I say 5 books in one, what I mean by this, if I talk about ancient India, for example, old NCRT is already included in it. R.S. Sharma, old NCRT is already included in it. Then there is book by Upinder Singh ma'am. It is included in it. Then there is a book by Romila Thapar ma'am. It is included in it. Along with this, the IGNU notes are already added to it. So old NCRT, Upinder Singh ma'am's book, Romila Thapar ma'am book, and IGNU book, plus some important articles which I read online, I have already summarized and added here. Right? So everything in one book. When you read this book along with my class lecture, your notes are done. Now, how you have to take the classes and how you have to make your notes, there is a plan for it as well. There is a proper plan for it. Now, what is the plan for it? The plan is, this is my book that I send you. Let's say this is your ancient India book. You open the book. This is your chapter on, let's say, Harappan civilization. So everything is already written here. But before you start the lecture, I would ask you guys to read the chapter. Read the chapter, put the marks where you are not able to understand or you have a doubt. Just read it for the sake of reading it and highlight the important points before you start attending my class. Then listen to my lecture, a live class. Keep a loose sheet with you. Make your notes of the class on this loose sheet, right? In case your doubts are removed in the lecture, great. Otherwise, after the class, you can ask, sir, there are few doubts in the book, can we discuss? And we will obviously discuss. Now that the lecture is over, pick up this loose sheet, bring it to your booklet, staple on the same page or pin it up on the same page. So your book and your class notes will come at one place. Now this is your complete note. Now you can check any previous year paper, any question asked, you will be able to answer it with perfection. That's a guarantee, right? That's a guarantee that you will be able to write an effective answer. Fine. So this is how we will cover the entire syllabus in 135 days. Fine. This is one thing. Now, after you are done with this, after you are done with the syllabus and your weekly tests are done, I will give you another one full test of paper 1 section A, one full test of paper 1 section B, paper 2 section A, paper 2 section B, 4 tests full length of each section. Then I will give you one test of paper 1 and one test of paper 2 full length. That means 6 more tests are there after the weekly test. And in case I find somebody not performing up to the mark, I will give them some additional test. I will give you map classes specifically beyond these classes of 135 days. We will take 5 extra classes of map as well. Though we will be covering ancient India map along with the syllabus, but then at the end we will keep 5 additional classes of only map work, right? So this is how the syllabus will be taken care of. This is how I will help you grow, evolve, and become comfortable with the syllabus. 5 months, even if it is 140 days, it is within 5 months. I'm keeping a little extra time. So 5 months, I will complete the entire syllabus. You will get all the notes, you will get all the tests, you will get everything, every support. Now, beyond this, when students start performing, when they start writing good answers, and now I realize that yes, they can improve further. At that point of time, I start sharing some very significant articles from various international magazines and journals that I have subscribed, from various sites that I read the things, I share it with my students. Let's take one example. We all had been preparing for history in GS, and some of us have been preparing history as an optional, and we talk about role of women in Indian freedom struggle. So we always write an answer in a very simple manner. Recently, I was reading an international magazine, and there was an article, specific article of about good 500, 700 words, role of prostitutes in India's freedom struggle. Like what the prostitutes, how they played role in India's freedom struggle. After reading that article, I found that I can give you about 30, 40 words to add to your answer, and you can bring a new dimension to your answer writing. So I covered it with my students. I shared the article as well, that in case somebody wants to read it, they can read the article. So this is how I am going to teach you guys. Fine. 2 lectures I will keep open for all of you, so that those who want to make their decisions, they can make. But first come first, I will keep 120 students, right? 30 already enrolled, 90 more can enroll. So this is the optimum limit. Admission starts now. Those who want to take admission, they can just send me one WhatsApp on my number. It's 98147 11661. 98147 11661. Right?